Fu and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Scarlett Fu and Paul Sweeney live here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York City, streaming live on YouTube and streaming live at Bloomberg.com. I think we have part of the government shut down. Quite honestly, I'm just not sure. So I said, I think we pay people to kind of stay on top of this, and we do, in fact. Nathan Hager's one of them, senior policy analyst of Bloomberg Intelligence. He's down there in Washington, D.C. Nathan, is our government fully open? Do we have parts of it shut down? What's shut down? What do I need to know?
See, what you need to know is that there's 1/12 of a government shutdown. There are 11 appropriation bills that have been funded, and the one that has not is the Department of Homeland Security. So it's about approximately 266,000 employees across agencies like FEMA, TSA, ICE, and so forth. Now, the debate isn't so much over funding, it's over tactics, because ICE, for what it's worth, has been funded through the One Big Beautiful Bill through fiscal year 2029. We're talking about $75 billion. And the Democrats are pushing ICE tactics changes, things like body cameras, masks, etc. And neither side has come to an agreement. So what people need to know is this, is that the shutdown is most likely going to last a while. But for those of us in the markets, it really doesn't have much of an impact. I mean, most of the data that we care about, like BLS and Fed data and so forth, that continues operating through September 30th of this year. And I would argue, due to the elections in November, we probably have another year until we really see a shutdown threat that impacts the markets and the data.
Okay, but in terms of real life, what if there's some massive storm and there's an emergency, a national emergency, federal emergency in parts of the country? FEMA would be affected by that, no?
Absolutely. I mean, Coast Guard, TSA. And, what I would say here is that, right now the shutdown is about pressure points. Both parties think that they're sitting in a position that's politically advantageous to themselves. But what will make them change their minds? Back in 2018, it was a TSA sick out. Now, the 45-day shutdown that took place last year, everybody remembers the airline disruptions. Well, that was due to the FAA. But go back to 2018, TSA employees started calling in sick en masse after about 30 days. And that's ultimately what changed the pressure point for that shutdown. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Now, the first paycheck will start this week, but again, both sides are sitting pretty in terms of themselves and how they feel. So I'm not sure you're going to see much in the way of negotiations taking place this week and next. I think it's probably going to be a couple of weeks before we get down and see a real solution to this.
So, I guess neither party feels like they have political risk here. It is a midterm election year, but I guess the feeling is it's not that big a deal. It's more just about affordability and things like that. Yeah,
I would also just remember that we are in the primary season right now as we go into the elections. All 435 members of the House, 1/3 of the Senate are thinking about primaries. And primaries are dictated by their parties. So if you look at, in terms of the Democrats, they were looking at messages that enhance the Democratic Party. Republicans are doing the same with their base. They're not really playing to independents at the moment. And I think that's driving a lot of this. So I think, negotiations will take place. There are Democrats out there that will say, look, we're in favor of funding everything but ICE. And since ICE is already funded through 2029, that potentially could be a solution. So, but again, it's going to have to be between the Senate Democrats and the White House. The GOP Congress is largely staying absent. They will stay and essentially defer to President Trump on this.
So when Paul flies out to, what's your next vacation?
Aspen.
In a few weeks?
2 weeks.
3
yeah,
weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
And this probably won't be resolved because neither side feels the pressure. Is he going to feel it when he goes through security?
Oh, I think so. I just anecdotally, I can tell you my wife was feeling it when I said I had to fly out next week. She asked me, are you going to be delayed? And so, I will say is that the pressure will build. We saw this with the FAA disruptions just last year. The pressure will build. But for Paul, for you specifically, just check and see if Aspen is one of those TSA airports or TSA contractor airports.
Oh,
there are a bunch of airports out there that have contractors and they're not impacted by this.
All right. So is my Congress, are they working now or are they on vacation? I can't remember.
So they're on recess right now. A lot of the lawmakers are still coming back from Germany.
Really?
And so,
See, I had recess when I went to Blessed Sacrament School, but that was 1st through 8th grade. So I don't know why they
Their
have
recesses last a lot longer.
Yeah. So what will they do when they get back, assuming they come back?
So you're going to see one half of the Congress actually focus on this. And it's important to note that every day that Congress is focusing on this, they're not focusing on things like crypto market structure or housing reform or anything like that. So it does delay some of the bill's passages. But there are going to be other members of the Congress who say, look, we're just going to move forward and we're going to do our things. Think of Kevin Warsh's nomination hearing over at the Senate Banking Committee. So Congress will continue to work. And this is a little bit different than other shutdowns where Congress largely said, look, we can't do anything because it's not essential service. services. So you are going to see Congress moving forward with certain items, but this cloud of DHS funding is going to be the one that ultimately just pushes off more and more legislation. And most importantly, for the crypto sector, that's the one that we're looking at.
You mentioned the Senate Banking Committee will hold a hearing on Kevin Warsh, but hasn't Tom Tillis, who is chairman of that committee, said that they're not going to schedule any kind of vote until the whole DOJ subpoena on the Fed is resolved, is finalized and resolved from where he sits?
Yeah, it hasn't been resolved yet. And this is actually probably the number one question we get from our clients is what happens in this situation?
Right.
Senator Tillis can block the committee. I mean, it's a 13-11, so it'd be 12-12 if he holds firm. And it would take 60 votes to discharge that petition and go straight to the floor, 50 votes to overturn that. Long story short is that it's not going to be discharged. So I think what happens here is that Senator Tillis remains firm, and you will see statements from the White House, saying, look, we're just going to continue no matter what. We're going to push our nominee. But ultimately, there has to be something here from the DOJ to get this resolved, because Senator Tillis is going to hold firm.
Yep. All right. There you go. Brinksmanship there. Chess, I guess. Nathan Dean.
Or checkers.
Or checkers, depending, whichever side you're on, I guess. Who knows? Nathan Dean, senior policy analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. He's down there in Washington, D.C. For our listeners,